Hi everyone. Good afternoon and thank you for joining today. Today, Aditya Nath will be joining us. Hi, good afternoon,
Hi.
Aditya.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you for joining us today. Hope everyone is doing well and safe at home. So
Yes,
without
all good.
wasting much time, I'm gonna just give you an introduction about Aditya. Aditya is a life coach. He's a businessman and a writer. He believes that one does not need to give up their material world in order to be spiritual. So without wasting much time, I'm going to just hand it over to Aditya, because Aditya, right now, with the current situation, we all are at home. Our kids are studying. We are working from home. You're in the same situation with so many roles. How do you manage this, and what do you want to tell our audience?
So the first thing that I've realized is that to manage anything, you have to first balance yourself. So when I was reading the Vedas and practicing my meditation sessions, I realized that till you're not balanced yourself, you're not able to see life clearly. And whenever some challenge is thrown at you, you need to channelize your energies, which can be used for productive ways. So right now, like with so much things going on in the pandemic world, we find that it displaces us. We start started being fearful. We start to become very anxious about things rather than to be constructive and productive about things. So the first thing is to be balance yourself so that you can take the world as it is.
And this is a really good point, and I also feel that if you are not balanced, you will not be able to even look after like your family members,
That is
right?
true.
So what would you say to our viewers, that how can one balance themselves in this situation?
So balancing is a continuous process. One of the very good Upanishads talks about there are five parts to us. I'll talk about the four parts to balance. So one is the body part. One is your body, one is your mind, one is your emotions, and the last is your soul. So once you start balancing all the four parts of yourself, you start becoming a balanced person. So say, for example, to balance your body, and you can speak to this, Malvika, because you are a great nutritionist. You follow food very closely, and you have really good posts on your Insta page about how to eat, what to eat, how to eat, what is right for you. So if you put right nutrition into yourself, then your body gets balanced. Similarly, you need to balance your emotions. So once you get up in the morning, now that we are all working out of home, we do not have the right expectations when we wake up in the morning. We think that the world is still the normal way, and why are we inside? We are not very happy inside to be inside in our houses, and it really doesn't help us. So the second way is to balance your emotions. So first, to get your expectations right. That's how you balance your emotions. So if your expectations are right from yourself, from your family members, from your day, then you become a balanced, emotionally balanced person. The third is to balance your mind. Now, mind is again a wanderer. You have a lot of desires. You want to do a lot of things. And the problem with modern day living is that they have taught us to do multitasking, which I think is a mistake. Right now, when we are at home, we need to focus on things. So we need to do one thing at a time. But whenever we are doing the things, we need to be involved in it. We need to touch and feel it. So say, for example, we are having food. So we need to be involved with the food. We need to see the food, the texture, smell it, to taste it, and enjoy the food rather than watch TV or rather than watch a video game or play on your phone. So again, so you can balance your mind by just being focused on your life, on the things that you're doing at the time. Of course, you can do many things in a day, but focus on what you're doing at the time. And the fifth is the spiritual balance, and I think this is the key. This is a game changer. If we can start becoming more aware of our spiritual self, and that is where all the awakening comes from, and that's why I have written the book Awaken Your Soul Print, because it talks about awakening your soul print. because everybody has a unique soulprint. So how do you become aware of your soulful self? And once you start becoming aware, then you find your awareness to be all around you. So your awareness would extend to your family members, to your house, to everybody. And that makes, that balances you completely. So just by doing these four things, focusing or paying attention to these four levels of your consciousness, you can balance yourself.
But you could have like some more like relevant, could you give us some examples of how we can do this in the present situation? Because, we have so much news around us, all this negativity, all this, there's so much negativity that how can one, because, some days they are that you feel low. Like, when you read WhatsApp messages and like there's this, now I don't feel like opening WhatsApp messages because I feel like I just go in that phase of being low. So what is that, like, maybe like 2-3 things a person must do in the day so that they don't feel that?
So I can give you like a list of things, and I think everybody should have their own things, but few things that works for everybody. One is to first balance yourselves, first to be aware of yourself, then to balance yourself. Then the third is to lay down a simple timetable. So right now we do not have a timetable at home. Kids are home. So earlier what used to happen was that the day used to start off the house with the kitchen for the kids. So the tiffins used to get prepared, and then the office tiffins used to get prepared, and then the house people used to get catered. But now everybody's at home. So there is no hierarchy to your timetable. Everybody's getting up at the same time, and everybody needs to be in front of the computer at the same time. Also, it is so interesting. So just laying down a timetable would help. That's one of the things. The other is to communicate.
In advance.
Planning in advance of your day, just your day, so that everybody can be on the same page. And what I've noticed now is, the closer you go, you understand that everybody has a different vibrations. So your children have a different vibrations. They have a high octane. Your people who are working in the house, the spouses have a different vibration because they are very commercially involved. Grandparents have a different vibration. Staff has a different vibrations. What I'm trying to say is, so we need to in sync all those vibrations, and to in sync them, you need to have a timetable. So if all of you are not eating together, and at the dining table, if you still have your computer, if you're still opening your office on the dining table, then obviously it's not going to work. So the workstation has to be separate, your house station has to be separate, and you need to be aware of that. So that is the one way to do it. Also, if you're not balanced, so say if my wife is not balanced, then it will obviously affect every member of the family. So it becomes very, very important for everybody to balance each other out, and to look into each other's lives and care for it. So, and I think the wives or housewives, I would say, have a very, very critical role to play, because actually they are the CEOs of the house. So earlier the house domain used to belong to them, and the work domain used to belong to the other spouse. But now when everybody is home, so everybody is under their guidance or their vision. So now they have to lead their lives as well as lives for everybody else. So one thing I would recommend is that, especially for housewives, they need to spend time with themselves. They need to take some time out. They should not neglect themselves. And that's the one mistake we do, that, we come last. No, you do not come last. You are also an equally important member of the whole chain. And we don't want the chain to be a weak chain. So if you put yourself last, then the whole chain has the possibility to break up. So we need to strengthen everybody, and housewives now, or people who are taking care of home takers, really need to take care of that first.
I totally agree. I feel as mothers, we tend to like not give ourselves that time like you spoke of. But like I said, like if we don't look after ourselves, we are in no position to look after the other family members. So that time off is necessary. And this is where my next question was going to come to you, was how do you divide like the role of each family member, right? Like there has to be certain responsibilities, that the responsibilities of the house have to be divided.
Yes. So firstly, it depends that who is taking a lead in this. So one critical thing is communication. So I think husband and wife need to have really good communication between themselves. They need to talk. They need to just share their experiences and what they're going through. If you do not share your day with your spouse, then there is some problem. You're going to face some problems. So when you both decide that you both need to lead the house now, and what is the importance of it all? Like you can have food separately, you can do everything separately, you can sleep at separate times. but then there's no point of living as a family. So what a family brings to us is a cohesiveness. In a family setup, we are able to fight this pandemic in a much better way. So if somebody's falling sick, the family can take care of. If the kids need some time with different people, then family members are there. So we need to use family as a unit. So as much as we've become individualistic in pandemic, that everybody's separate, we need to find community living in a family. Regarding roles and responsibilities, I think the key question is that if the husband understands that if the wife is not balanced, so if the wife is not getting time, and if the wife understands that the husband is not getting time and is not able to do his work properly, then it affects the whole family. And the kids also start taking different things. So whatever imbalance we might create right now because of non-communication and non-interaction with each other, the kids are going to see it because they are in that environment all the time. So we need to make a model, we need to aspire to make a model family system where we are talking all the time, we are helping each other out. So if you're looking after the kids and you're looking after your husband's food or work things, then your husband also needs to look after the kids and you. And similarly, the kids also need to step up depending upon their age and also need to take care of the parents at some point and help around with the house things. Like I had a great, my kids are 9 and 10, so 11. So they were great help to in the house. So they were actually chipping in whatever they could. They were helping in gardening. They were helping in folding their own clothes. So they were also becoming more responsible. So once everybody starts taking responsibility, then they all develop themselves and it becomes a great and a wonderful family.
I think thank you for this suggestion. This should help a lot of us.
Yes, it works because it's a teamwork. It's just like playing basketball, and if every member is, there's no one person that can make it happen. But again, in a basketball, there is one leader, there is one captain, right? Or any other team sport for that matter. So somebody has to take a lead, and I think even wives nowadays or homemakers, they lead very well. I think they are super moms. They do a great job. But I think now they just have to redefine themselves and redefine everybody's responsibilities because everything has changed now.
Yes, I want to say it out to all the moms that it's okay to take a break. It's okay that sometimes, you can't do something and it's okay.
Absolutely. And I really hope the spouses also are supportive of that. And if they are not, then I think you should just communicate. So there's nothing as fighting in this. It's all about communication. And I think mostly if you communicate, people do help you, people do assist you, people are part of your journey, and then we can pull this through very easily.
Communication is the key.
Yes, communication is the key. Regarding the fake news you talked about, it's a
how do we
problem,
stay
obviously.
calm? Like how do we keep ourselves calm in that situation?
So there's a very interesting story in the Mahabharata, which we read about, which is about Ashwatthama. And so Guru Dronacharya is told about Ashwatthama's death. And Guru Dronacharya is not able to believe that Ashwatthama, his son, has died. So Guru Dronacharya asks Yudhishthir, the all-truthful person, that is Ashwatthama dead? And Yudhishthir says yes. And hearing this, he's devastated. Guru Dronacharya, he puts his weapons down, he submits, and he loses. He gets killed. Later, the twist in the story is that Ashwatthama, his son, was alive, but an elephant named Ashwatthama was killed, which Yudhishthira was referring to. Now, this simple story really tells us that all news is biased. Everybody's telling you news from their perspective and maybe to benefit them at some point. So we need to understand that, we need to believe in that whatever is coming to us is coming in a biased way and we don't need to accept it fully. Secondly, I would say that whenever we hear something, we get this fear in us. And we get fear when we do not have a lot of faith or a lot of devotion towards the universe. So we are all here, right? So the mankind is here, it has evolved over so many years, many flus have come. So the humankind or the mankind will sustain, the universe will take the right decision. We need to believe in it. And the more you have belief, whenever you think you're fearing, you should just look into yourself and start we say that we believe, or we pray, we go to temples, or we do our own thing, but maybe deep down we are not. Because if you are believing, then why you're fearing? If there is God, then why you're fearing? So just strengthen yourself again. Find the strength inside, and just let it go. The third thing I would say is filter the news. So do not use the phones all the time. There's so many news. There's so many places on phones now that they're saying, you should not get the phone to the table. You should have 1 hour of it. I call it tech vipassana. That you should be digitally detox yourself, digitally detox yourself, and do tech vipassana. That you should not practice. You should not touch your phone for an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours, and that will make all the difference. So so that works.
So what has really worked for me, because I was also going through this a little bit of a panic till a few days back, and I am making this point that I shut my phone by like 9:30, and I just spend that time, because my daughter is already asleep. I just spend that time with either I read or I watch some Netflix. But again, I make sure that there's no WhatsApp happening on that iPad where the Netflix is going on. And I make it a point that I sit and write in my journal. I'm just writing like, okay, these are my top 3 things that I'm grateful for today. It could just be as simple as I'm grateful that I have food to eat. I'm grateful that my body is healthy. I know those are the things that actually, then it's actually when I look, and this is actually really working for me. And this is one advice I want to give up to everyone, that make this like a part of your routine, because it really just takes like 10 minutes at night of just writing these things down. Because when you just look back at your day, when you just look back at your day and you're like, okay, I'm alive, I'm healthy, and this is what I'm grateful for.
Gratitude is a very powerful method, because it does. And when you do that, you do a lot of things. Firstly, when you are grateful to something, then you accept that something has been given to you, and then you accept that you were not deserving it, and that's why you're grateful for it. And you also accept that if you ask something, then you will get it, because that's you have been getting a lot of blessings any which way. So gratitude puts you in that zone of calmness at night before you sleep. And it's a great thing, because at night you want to shut yourself down. So you want to shut your mind, you want to be in a peaceful, calm space. And if you read all these WhatsApp messages or anything that disturbs you or disbalances you, and you have not been, and even if all day you've been preparing yourself on all the 4 counts and balancing, and then some news comes to you and you let it affect you, then you miss the boat in the evening. So that's a great thing you do, I think.
And I feel, and also it disturbs your night's sleep. Because when you go to bed with all this negative news, then it will also affect your sleep.
Yes.
And then you wake up and then the next day you wake up and then you're not so fresh because you didn't have a good night's sleep. So I feel it's best to just switch off if you can, if like everyone is okay at home. Okay, I understand, there are houses where there are elderlies who are not okay and you can't switch off your phone. But I feel not even switch off, but maybe just keep it away for some time, especially at night. It really works.
I do have a DND on my phone, so only my favorites or my close family members can call me in those hours. So I know if they want to reach out to me, they can, if there's an emergency. But otherwise, if anybody calls, then it's just a missed call after certain hours. And I think that's what it is, that, the phone is for us and we are not for the phone. And I think that's a problem that we've created, that every time we keep it in our hand and we can't let it go. So I think it's a great thing. Also in the morning time, I've seen if you start your day a little bit early, where everybody is kind of a quiet place, it's a different, I'm not describing it for everybody, but it has worked for me, because when you get up a little bit early, you have your own time, you can do your own things peacefully, calmly, and then that sets the tone for the whole day. But if you get up late, then you're already on the firefighting mode. You're putting your kids or just putting everybody into place, and then you've already lost the day. So
I totally agree with this. And I just feel in the morning, even just listening, this is a very small thing, but it really makes a difference to your mood. Even just like standing in the balcony or just getting some sunlight and listening to the birds chirping. I feel this lockdown, because I feel there's no other noise, and the chirping of the birds only lifts up your mood. It sounds really small, I don't know, but it just, it sounds small, but I think it has a...
amazing effect, because I get up around 4:30 in the morning to do my meditation. It's like very early. It's like the Brahm Yog time. So, you know, the
Yeah.
whole,
I've heard it from
basically in
Sadhguru,
your,
but I don't wake up at 4:30. Sorry. Yeah.
that's okay. And I'm not saying everybody should, but I can share my
Yeah.
experience, what happens then. That at that time, the whole world or the whole cosmos around me in the area is waking up. So I can hear the birds chirping and different kind of chirps, and I can hear even you could sense that, you know, there is some life coming into everything around you. You can feel that energy, and that, you know, that awakens you a lot. So you're right, the birds chirping, or even if you're living near a river or some place where you can hear the water body, I think it's a great. Or if you don't have all that, if you're in a city and, you know, on near a highway, then even putting on meditative music, that also helps. So you can, anytime you want to do, even during daytime for that matter, you know, put on the natural sounds, put on the meditative music, and just go with it. So it really calms you down and soothes you down.
And one also has that positive effect in the whole house. So it could be any prayer, meditative music, anything maybe you also believe and connect with.
So prayers, I find prayers are a very powerful thing. You know, you get what you pray for. Now you have to be careful what are you praying for. So prayers are a very, very powerful things, a medium to get what you want, and in spirituality they are considered very, very potent. In the house, again, as I said, there are so many vibrations going on. So if you were just to do a Brahmari hymn, you know, if at night, just practice it, Malvika, you know, just have your son and maybe your husband or whoever in your family at one time during the day, and just do the Brahmari hymn. Like just pull them out and do the humming sound, and just do it for 2-4 minutes, and then you will find that all of you are on the same wavelength. You're all together in the same zone of quiet peacefulness, and that works a lot. And you feel so much more calmer, and then you can interact better. So all that things, noises that are going on in your mind around you, they subside. So
yeah,
works.
I do this before going to bed, and it helps for sure. But
Wonderful.
this is a good idea
Wonderful.
that the whole family does it together.
Yeah,
I've actually
and
never
that was
given
even
this.
that's why they said, you know, the Om chant is a wonderful chant, right? And I really believe in the Om chant. So there are 4 parts to the Om chant, if I can add here. So one is the O, which is the universe, which encapsulates the whole O of the universe. The second is the U sound. So when you say U, you connect your stomach to the universe. If you do a U sound, then you will find your stomach moving in. So basically you're connecting now. And then the third is which is the Brahmari sound, in which you are putting all the vibrations inside you. So in the first instance, you encapsulate the universe. Second, you connect to the universe. Third, you digest the universe. And in the fourth, you just silence. So when you sit in silence in the Om chant, then also you feel so relaxed, you feel at peace, and then you can start the Om chant again. So even Brahmari or even Om chant with your children, I think I found them very effective. They work.
Thank you for this. And Shivani here is saying thank you for sharing such practical tips. So if anyone has questions, please feel free to ask, because I actually, this question is not related to our topic, but now that we are talking about spirituality, I just want to ask you one thing. According to you, how is religion different from spirituality?
So religion is the crystallization of spirituality. So just to say it simply, if you have milk and you make curd out of it, right? So you get your curd. So curd is your religion, and milk was spirituality. So milk is always pure, and then you made something out of it, and that became religion. So all religions have their base or their essence coming from spirituality. Now what has happened over the years is that when that milk became curd, that was 2000 years ago. So the people of those times found it useful, found it tasty, found it better for them. And due to our human psyche or our nature, we have not evolved our religion all the way through. So now we are trying to follow what people 2000 years ago were trying to follow. In essence, it makes sense because it is coming from the milk, but it is not practically to follow it. So say, for example, no religion talks about if we can get married over the net, over internet. Can we get married over phones? Because the technology wasn't there. Nobody had those problems back in the day to to have a marriage commune like that. But now we do have that, right? We have people meeting on net and they're falling in love and they are getting married. So what does that mean? That you can't be married because your religion doesn't talk about it. So then we have to understand the essence. We have to go back to spirituality of it. That if two people are in love, they are loving souls, then, you know, whichever way they want to get together, it's perfectly fine. So that's how spirituality is different from religion. We need to accept religion, but only for the essence of it and not for misinterpretations of it, which I see more people do nowadays. Spirituality is the way to go forward.
And I just want to add here that this is a really good time now that we are all home, that we can, I always say this, now this is a good time that, you know, if people have any like lifestyle things they want to work on, you know, if they're not exercising, they could do like, okay, let me start with 20 minutes of exercise. If they feel they're not eating better, they could eat like, start eating 2 vegetables in a day or 2 fruits in a day. So what I want to add here, that this is also a good time when you are home to work on yourself. So it
Absolutely,
could just
yeah.
be like, so it could just be like, okay, I have, okay, 5 minutes in my day. I would just take this time and sit in a quiet place and just not be bothered with anything else. What would you like to say on that?
So what basically you're saying is we need to enrich ourselves. Earlier we were trying to make ourselves richer, where we were trying to get a lot of things into our lives. We were trying to buy a lot of things, but now we need to enrich ourselves, in which so when we buy things, we are working on the width of things. So we have a lot of experiences now. But now what you're saying is, and which is absolutely correct, is that we need to work on the depth of it. So it doesn't help you to have million of followers or million of people, friends on Facebook. What helps you is to have meaningful relationships also. So you need both. You need width and depth. And I think whatever you have, and I think we have gathered so much over the years before the pandemic kind of hit us, in all our ways and forms, we need to start enjoying and spending more time with ourselves. And if say some skill or like I started practicing singing in the lockdown because that was one of the things I always wanted to do but never got time to. So things that, you know, you have your calling for, your heart wants to do, or maybe cooking or maybe fashion or something, then this is the best time to do it, to explore it. And if you like it, then maybe carry on with it. You used to do yoga, what I understand. So that also was a great way to grow from within. So nutrition is also a great way to grow, so that you're more aware of what you're eating. Yeah. So you can eat anything, right? It's not about what to eat and what not to eat. It's just that you be more aware of what you're putting into yourself, because the food is going to make your body, and your body is going to make your life more beautiful. So if you put junk food, then obviously it's going to be a junky life.
Yeah, because you also now are aware that what this food does to me, how I feel, you know, how I feel after eating this food. So
true.
Thank you, Aditya, for this. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah. I'm saying, do you feel the difference now that you're having a very healthy lifestyle vis-a-vis before, where you were not aware of what you were eating?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think when I was in my early 20s, I was always lazy, tired, you know, but now I'm almost 35 now, and I feel such a big difference, like in my energy levels. I'm sleeping better. And, you know, I feel it's a journey, like how spirituality, I think this has been a journey for me, because you can't just make changes. Like, this is what I tell people. You can't expect to go from here to here overnight. So you also, you know, one needs to take like small practical steps. Like I said, I'm not saying you need to exercise 60 minutes every day. I'm just saying start exercising 10 minutes every day. And then you can slowly build it up. If you feel you're eating a lot of like
so basically the way
processed food, you don't have to stop eating it all in one day. You need to just first maybe start with eating like one home cooked meal, which is with your fruits, vegetables, cereal, and then slowly reduce the other foods.
Wonderful. That's so wonderful. Basically what you're saying is you become aware of what you're eating first, and second, your mind is telling you that this is good for you. So when your mind starts working on that, then naturally you do it for yourself. So you start eating, and it becomes a process over a period of time. So it's
and also once you start making changes, you stop craving for the other food, because your body, you know, it's said that your body needs 21 days So if I stop eating, for example, cakes, I don't eat it for 21 days. On the 22nd day, my body won't even ask for it. So I was a person who could eat like cake every day of my life. I'm talking about 10 years back. And now I'm okay. Even if I don't eat it, it's perfectly fine. So like, it's just a shift that you make gradually.
Yeah, I think each person should start with some shift. I think a small step in the right direction is a great step over a period of time. I think it all works in the compounding way, you know, small, one step today, one step every day, and over 10 years, it becomes like a whole journey, a mile is covered. And that's a great way to do your life changes. Perfectly said.
This was really very useful. Is there anything you want to leave us with as a conclusion or something?
Yes, I would just say just awaken your soul print. I think awaken yourself, be aware of your spirituality. Spirituality is not difficult. Do your own way, your own version. You do not have to follow anybody else's religion. Make your own, but just do something about it. Your spiritual self is when you balance that. I noticed some tremendous changes in my life. My life experiences and my quality of life really changed. And if everybody can experience that, I would be very, very happy on that.
Thank you so much, Aditya. And thank you everyone for joining in today. Please stay home, stay safe. And if anyone needs to reach out, have a chat with Aditya, I'm going to tag him at the end of this video, and you can please feel free to reach out to him.
Yes. And also we have an Insta page, Awaken Your Soul Print. You can also follow us there.
Yes. And he has some really useful posts that we need in today's time. So do check it out. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.